Well, hello there. Does your gaming PC look like this? Did you spend your entire budget min-maxing performance, but now you're getting sick of 14-year-olds making fun of it on the internet?
Ew, your PC got so little RGB it looks like your mama bought it from a soup kitchen in the Great Depression.
Well, I'm here to help, because today I'm gonna upgrade this system using best-selling parts in each category from Amazon. Starting off with the cheapest upgrades, moving more expensive to some real fancy ones by the end of the video. Please fit in the hole! And no, the final product definitely isn't gonna look way worse than it does now. But before we get into that, today's video is sponsored by War Thunder.
I've been playing War Thunder since long before anybody paid me to play it. I didn't do it to be cool, I didn't do it to make a statement. I just liked it.
But you don't only have to pretend to be Matthew McConaughey using airplanes. Take command of over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships from the 1920s all the way up to fighter jets and main battle tanks of today. All the vehicles and graphics are super sexy and realistic, so join a worldwide community of over 95 million players in epic PvP battles, and best of all, War Thunder is free on all of these platforms. So if you're new or haven't played in 6 months on PC or console, sign up using the links down below to get all of these goodies, including 7 days of premium account for free. Now, the cheapest upgrade we're going to do today, aside from some aftermarket thermal paste, the most popular of which is obviously Arctic's MX4. But aside from that, I got an RGB strip so that we can light up the interior of our system nicely, like what's happening here. The best-selling internal PC LED strip on Amazon is this Mahale one, which cost about 19 Canadian dollars. I did also get a higher-end alternative, which looks a lot more appealing to me, but we'll get into why a bit later. First, let's open up this bad boy. Now, the packaging is super basic, and I think the product is as well. You just plug it in via SATA. Oh, wow, you actually get 2 strips, although having said that, they are very short, which may actually not be the worst thing ever. I'm using an M-ATX NZXT case. It's quite a small case, so this way we're not going to have a bunch of overrun that we have to deal with. Interestingly, some of the higher end strips that I've seen come with like a removable 3M adhesive on the back, so they're both magnetic and adhesive so that they really stick in there. Whereas this sticks like half-cooked pasta to a wall. It's not a great start, but I think it'll fit okay. Now, in terms of placement, I am gonna upgrade the CPU cooler to an AIO, and I'm thinking of putting the radiator in the top of the case. So because of that, I'm probably gonna add the LED strips to the front and the side of the case.
A few moments later.
Okay, that's not good. As far as I can tell, the magnets are at the 2 ends, so if you don't fully reach a side, it doesn't stick down. And after a while of struggling, I finally got the strips into a borderline acceptable spot, but then immediately ran into a problem with the RGB hub. So it only comes with 1 extension, so one of the strips has to be close enough to this control panel for it to just plug straight in here. But luckily, considering my tiny case, I could just about reach. Okay, so now I just need to turn it on and see what it looks like. Wow, it looks terrible. Is that supposed to be white? It is! It's so blue! And aside from the terrible LED quality, the remote also had a hilariously short range. You can barely tell on the camera that it's even on, but that's blue. Okay, green looks okay. Green isn't too terrible. It also has some super advanced color changing modes. It just turns off and on between the different... Wow. So all things considered, I'd rate this upgrade like a don't bother out of 10, I guess, but maybe a more expensive light strip is much better. So I replaced the 19 Canadian dollar Mahale light strip kit with a 32 Canadian dollar Ergu one, which not only puts some much needed diffusion in front of the LEDs, but its mounting mechanism is also different. It uses these little plastic magnetic clips to hold the RGB strip in place, which sounds like a good idea in theory, but the plastic clips take up way way more space than they should in the case, making placement really difficult. And the strips were way too long for my case, which led to some pretty terrible results. I feel like the only time that RGB strips aren't a horrendous way to add lighting to a case is if it comes pre-installed by the manufacturer in the case. Yeah, I mean, now it just looks like a house that had its Christmas lights bolted on at 3 a.m. by your drunk dad. It's just, it looks terrible, my word. With that, it's time for our first price jump, with a slightly more expensive upgrade being our power supply cables. Now, this is an upgrade that I really think everybody should do. There are a bunch of power supply extension kits that you can get, and they just make your PC look way better in my opinion. Now, for today's video, I'm going to upgrade my 24-pin motherboard cable separately from my graphics card cable, because later in today's video, I am going to upgrade my graphics card, which will use a different power supply connector, because, you know, NVIDIA. But for now, I have this very interesting looking 24-pin power supply cable upgrade, which cost 40 Canadian dollars, which quite frankly is shocking for what it is. Now, as far as I can tell, this cable upgrade might actually not be the most popular on Amazon at the moment, but I found it so intriguing that I had to check it out. Now, what's really interesting about this cable is that it's like one strand. Look at that. I've never seen a 24-pin power supply cable look like this before. And it's also right angled, so it's gonna kind of come off our PC in a very classy looking way, maybe? And then judging by the inclusion of the RGB cable, I think this little display lights up, which is crazy. It's gonna drive those 14-year-olds on Reddit real crazy for your PC. And it's a nice touch that you connect it on the other side of the extension cable, so that you don't have to see this bit, you know? I don't know, it doesn't have a clip that holds it in place, which I find mildly concerning. But my mild concern immediately vanished when I turned the system on. Ooh. I don't know, that looks kind of dumb as hell. Oh, this PC is gonna be so ugly by the time I'm done with it. Now next up, we're finally making an upgrade that's actually going to help the system run better, and it's a new CPU cooler. And this Thermalright Aqua Elite is the best-selling AIO on Amazon at the moment, and it costs 62 Canadian dollars, which is almost suspiciously cheap for what it is, but people seem generally happy with it in the reviews. And it's got a surprising amount of RGB on it, which will show them Redditors. Well, we get pre-installed fans, which my lazy ass is always very excited about. And other than that, it's very much just AIO, I guess. So let's mount it. Now, the first step is to remove our stock AMD Wraith Stealth cooler. Now, we get some thermal paste in the tube, which I'm sure is fine, but we are going to use our MX4 instead. And then, because I dropped this stock AMD cooler mounting backplate, I had to practice my reach-around skills holding it in place while screwing the new AIO's mounting on. Which obviously the first time I did that the wrong way around, so I had to do the whole process again. No, it's the wrong way around. Oh, thank God I checked. Mounting the AIO block to the CPU was super straightforward, and then when mounting the radiator in the top, I just had some medium fan cable struggles. But the case has decent top clearance, so it could have been much worse. And just like that, our AIO installation is done, and the process of installing it, if anything, just got me really impressed with this little NZXT M80X case, because despite it being a pretty small M80X case, there's enough space for you to fit a 240mm AIO radiator in the top and still be able to reach like cable plug-in points and stuff down here. So this case is more than roomy enough for a pretty sexy looking M80X system. And I think once we add our RGB fans in here, our street cred is gonna go through the roof with this bad boy. But before we do that, let's test this AIO and see how much better temperature-wise it performs than our Wraith Stealth cooler. It's gonna be a big difference. It's a pretty not power-hungry CPU. And it did make a big difference. After 20 minutes of playing Cyberpunk, the AIO had 20 degrees Celsius lower temperatures than the stock AMD Wraith Stealth cooler. And this was all on top of low noise, which I forgot to record before adding a bunch more fans and stuff into the case. So, yeah, sorry. Next up, we have fans. And these Corsair RS120 fans are the best-selling fans on Amazon Canada at the moment. And they cost 75 Canadian dollars, which is $13 more than the AIO cost us. But you know, they're good fans, they should look pretty, and maybe help with our GPU temps. Ooh, Corsair, you spoil us. These fans use the standard RGB connector. That's very exciting. And yes, you do also get cable extensions. Hopefully this is enough to connect all of them. And as is always the case with fan installations, the initial mounting hole break-in screwing is quite harrowing.
3 weeks later.
Oh, it's finally over. Oh, now I just need to mount the fans. And then aside from me instantly losing some extension cables, which took me ages to find because apparently I have dementia, the actual mounting process of the fans was fine, aside from the little daisy-chainable connectors not quite being long enough for you to stow effectively, so it was kind of difficult to hide the cables, but other than that, installation was straightforward. Okay, we finally get to turn it on after just untold suffering has happened to get those fans in. But we're good now, we're good. It's gonna look very pretty. Let's see. Please work. It does! It does all work, even though it's all just one big daisy chain. It works, and it looks real gamery. And now that we've got some real EPing going, let's see if it helped our GPU temperatures. Well, no, apparently it didn't help our temps, but at least it looks cool. So, you know, we got that going for us. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is drop in another 16 gigs of DDR4. Now, I did think of replacing the kit in there with a 32 gig kit of RGB RAM, but that's pretty wasteful, so I think upgrading the RAM we already have in there makes more sense. Now, at this point in our upgrade journey, I don't think the RAM upgrade is going to make a performance difference yet, because I think as it stands, the CPU is very much the main bottleneck, but once we upgrade that, the extra RAM is definitely going to be coming in handy. And in the process of upgrading the RAM, super straightforward because you just kind of push it till it pops. And then when it comes to performance, Counter-Strike 2, Cyberpunk, and Doom the Dark Ages didn't really see any differences, whereas Stalker 2 did see a slight uplift in 1% lows, but all the performance was functionally identical. So now we've come to the second biggest upgrade we're going to make in this video. I'm going to drop a new CPU in here. Now, one of the main reasons I was comfortable buying into AM4 was because it still gives you access to the now legendary X3D AMD CPUs, which are just majestic gaming chips. And for today's upgrade, I bought a Ryzen 7 5700X3D. Now you can still often find these in stock new depending on when you look, and when they are in stock, they're likely some of the best-selling CPUs on Amazon at the moment. But I decided to go used because I just wanted to see how the experience was and what kind of condition chip we got. Even though I barely saved any money buying it used. Oh. No way, we get little sachets of thermal paste in the box. That's really funny. Oh yeah, look at that bad boy. It looks like it's in very good condition. It's very nicely cleaned. None of our pins seem bent. This looks like a healthy CPU. Let's drop it in and see what it does. First, I had to remove our lowly Ryzen 5 5500 to replace it with its much sexier older sibling. And after the physical installation, the motherboard's going to be all confused about this stranger inside it, so be sure to turn on your XMPs again and re-enable resize bar. But with that finished, straight off the bat with CS2 at 1080p low settings, we went from averaging around a pathetic 200-ish frames per second to well over 400. We're finally getting some reasonable utilization out of our graphics card here. Now, unfortunately, none of the other games saw near this kind of improvement, but despite only modest improvements in the average frame rate, all of the games felt quite a lot better because their 1% lows were noticeably better. And this upgrade also paves the way for our next upgrade to really shine. And our final upgrade is the graphics card. I'm replacing the RX 7600 with the most popular graphics card on Amazon, which changes all the time. But when I started planning this video, the most popular graphics card was the RTX 5070. However, at the moment, the 5070 is 4th, and the most popular graphics card is the RX 9060 XT, which is pretty cool. Now, with this MSI 5070, there are a couple of concerns I have. The first one is that it might be too long to fit in our case, and I'm also gonna have to use a wildly dodgy cable situation to power it. Now, this adapter is almost definitely a terrible idea, because you have 3 8-pin PCIe connectors going to one of Nvidia's Arson connectors. And I don't even know if this is gonna work, because our 650 watt power supply only has one PCIe 8-pin connector, which like splits off into 2, so we're not even gonna be able to have 3 PCIe connectors. So I don't even know if the adapter is gonna work. Despite the fact that our graphics card is going to draw about 250 watts, I don't know, this seems like a terrible idea, but I am curious to give it a try. So we don't even have all 3 plugged in, which this seems like a great idea to me. And then I ran into the problem of the graphics card initially not fitting into the case. There was just enough clearance for it, but I couldn't quite angle it incorrectly to get it seated. Luckily, all I had to do was unscrew one of the fans so that I could get the graphics card in place and then replace the fan. Like that. I don't even know if it's gonna turn on. I mean, it looks fine. We're gonna get a signal out? We are! It's working! Okay, so now we just need to hope it doesn't explode when we game on it. And in its final form, our upgraded PC not only looks more EP-y, but it performs way better. Although, straight off the bat, CS2 runs straight back into a CPU bottleneck, not actually giving us that much more performance. But with Cyberpunk, we doubled our frame rate moving to the 5070. And even at 1440p high settings, we were getting over 120 frames per second. We also doubled our frame rate with Doom the Dark Ages, and at 1440p got close to 100 frames per second. The game was feeling really good. With Stalker 2 on the other hand, the jump wasn't as big, but at 1440p we barely lost frame rate from our 1080p result and had much better 1% lows. So apparently, if you upgrade your system, you get more performance. Who would have thunk? And on that massive bombshell, thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video, and before you go, thanks again to War Thunder for sponsoring today's video. Play the game for free on PC and consoles using my links down below. And remember, this massive bonus pack is for new players and for players who haven't played in at least 6 months on PC and console.